Okay, so with COGS total is going to be able to show you two different types of outputs. The first one that I want to show you is the most basic form. And in this, I've got two inputs. The first one is the seller nickname, the store nickname that you enter into your Gorilla account. And the second required input is the period. In my case, I've got it as this year. Okay. And for the next one, you can enter all the other ones are optional. So you can also select a single SKU or define a range, and then it's going to show you everything. But first, before I get to output, let me show you this. The way it works is it's going to give you each time you have an order on a specific day, it's going to output that as well as the associated cost if you've entered it into your managed COGS section in your account. And then it's going to calculate your total COGS for you. In this case, there's 1 unit sold, the cost was 0.51, and so the total COGS is going to be 0.51. If you have multiple SKUs sold in a day, so for example on March the 3rd, this one sold 2 units at $3.22 each, and so the total COGS is going to be $6.44. So you get an idea of how it's going to work. You can also see that in this same SKU, the cost has changed from $3.22. So from the 3rd to the 8th, it was $3.22. And then either the 9th or the 10th, the cost changed to $140. And so now it's going to start calculating the COGS using the latest cost data instead of the old one. This way, you can keep track and keep very accurate accounts of your total COGS on a per order, per day, or whenever you have transactions. These empty rows, it's because there was no cost data entered prior to March the 3rd. So now if I see this and I realize, oh, okay, I should have entered some cost information because I'm not getting anything for this, I would then go back into my account in Gorilla ROI and I will find that SKU and then update the costs. So be sure to watch that other video where I explain how to use the web user interface to update the cost and then upload costs via CSV as well. The example that I want to actually show you though is TCO2, so that because that one just has a little bit more information. So in the SKU, I'm going to select TCO2. It's now going to display all of the transactions or the orders on any of the days that there was activity. So you can see here where the first cost was March the 2nd at $4.68, and then up to the 8th was $4.68. Starting March 9th, the cost was updated to $1.63. Going back here, you'll see that this cost information here is here. And you can see where it matches up with March the 2nd, $4.68. So for the next 6 days or so, it was at $4.68 before it got updated to $1.63. If I want to add in a cost information or cost prior to that information, or the first one, so let's do 3.3. So November the 8th, 3.33. Now I've got a prior early one on. So later on the next day when we recalculate things, all of these empty spaces is now going to update using the cost that I just entered of 3.33. It's not going to update immediately because it's just extremely intensive to have to recalculate every time you make a change. So we do it at the end of the day, once a day. Okay, even if if this 468 was also a mistake, then you want to go in and change this to say maybe it was 368, so it was off by $1. Now again, it's not going to update immediately. I could refresh the formula. It's still going to show up as 468 and the numbers as a multiple of 468. It's only going to update to 368 again at the end of the day. So please keep that in mind. The next input is going to be the one that's interesting. So what you see right now is a automated, auto-generated table where I didn't enter anything related to like the names, the market, the currency, etc. All I entered was gave it the inputs and it auto-generated this. That's because by default it's called dump mode, where we just dump the data into a table for you. Now, if you want to change something, if you want to change this, and then you want to do something like say 2022, and then instead of dump, I just want to see the total COGS, then it's just going to show you okay, so because I didn't have any cost associated with that SKU, I'm just going to delete that SKU, and let's say, okay, just give it a sec. Okay, so I changed the time period from 2022 back to this year, and I've removed the SKU, so I just want to get the total of all these SKUs combined in this total account, and it's going to give you a single number. In my case, it's in dollars, so I'm just going to add that $ in. But you can see where now the total COGS for this year is $5,000.15. You can also do it by month or by week if you want to calculate your COGS that way. And this way, by month is a pretty good way to do it, so that for your end of the month profit and loss, you'll be able to calculate what your total COGS are very accurately, subtract that from, say, your costs or your sales to get a much more accurate gross profit. So that's the two ways of using this filter called output. The default is dump, where it gives you that line by line analysis, and this is going to give you that one total aggregated number. I'm going to delete this again so that you can see a better version. Okay, dump, there we go. And then marketplace is self-explanatory. Moving on to count is most beneficial if you have tens of thousands of SKUs and it's just too much for Google Sheets to handle. Maybe you just want to see like the latest 1,000 or something on a per SKU basis, like I had before, where I was showing you TC02 like this, and then instead of just displaying, let's say I had like 1 million transactions, instead of displaying all of that, I just wanted to see like the 10, then it's going to give me the most 10 recent ones for that particular SKU. So this way, it's just not going to crash and make your spreadsheet too heavy. Sorting is self-explanatory, so you can sort by SKU or you can sort by date, ascending or descending order. And then if you want to use a custom time period, then that's where you can enter a start and end dates like all of the other functions. So now that you've seen how you've gotten the overall high-level picture, let's put another example into practice. Okay, so another way to use COGS total is going to be, let's say 2023-01, 2023-02, 2023-03. Okay, I'm going to actually expand this 2012 like this. Okay, and for this example, I just want to make sure that I've changed it to plain text. Okay, so I want to find all of the total COGS for each of these months on a per SKU basis. We are starting to change our formula so that we can use array inputs by selecting a range both horizontally and vertically. And that just makes it easier, whereas right now we're doing it, if you're using sales total or other ones, we only support one array at a time. But in this case, you'll see how I can do this. I'm going to do A2, comma. For the period, I'm going to select all of this right like that. I'm going to lock that in, comma. And then for the SKU, I'm going to select all of this like that, comma. And then for the output, I want total. Now you can see where just by entering and defining my inputs as an array at the top, all in one go, a range of dates and a range of SKUs, I only used one formula to auto-generate this, whereas previously you had to enter a formula here and then drag the formula to the right to create this table. But now we've made it so that one formula, you can pretty much auto-generate an entire 2D type table. So this is also another example of how you would use COGS total in your, say, profit and loss analysis or for accounting purposes. So you can load all of the totals individually as well as dump mode. So the best thing always is to play around with it. Just start off with the most basic formula. Again, and the most basic one is Gorilla _ COGS total. Come on, COGS total. Your nickname, comma, and the period, so like 2023, and that will automatically dump all of the transactions and help you get an idea of how to get started.